All right, well, thanks everyone. Thank you for coming to my session today. My name is Ben Parisot, and I've been the engineering manager at Planet Argon for about 5 years now. If you haven't heard of us, Planet Argon is a software development agency that specializes in helping teams organize, upgrade, and maintain their legacy applications, mostly Ruby on Rails apps. In other words, we help companies avoid big rewrites. So naturally, it's a huge part of our work involves dealing with legacy code. So it feels very on brand to be here at MenderCon, a conference which is all about extending the life of your software. We're also proud to be sponsoring MenderCon again this year, which is our second year in the row doing so. Okay, so today we are going to be building a VS Code extension that will allow you to create Jira issues that capture technical debt information right from within VS Code. Let me first, though, give you a little background about why we're going to do this and why I did it originally. Here's a situation you might find familiar. You're deep in your workflow, you're banging out something great, and then you spot some code that desperately needs a future refactor or updates. At Planet Argon, the process for dealing with this was something like hop out of VS Code, hop out of your IDE, go to your browser, open Jira, find the right project, start a new ticket, try to remember which file you were in, copy or paste the code that you had just copied, if you'd remember to do that, into the issue, try to include as many details as you can. It wasn't easy, as you can probably guess. It was kind of clunky, it interrupted your flow, and it led to inconsistent tickets with a lot of missing context. We discussed this and decided that there's got to be a better way, specifically something that lived inside the editor, that captured the right context and let us submit clean and consistent Jira issues without having to switch tools or lose focus. So it also needed to be fast and also frictionless, because otherwise no one on the team was going to use it. So we decided to go ahead and build a Jira extension, and we decided our technical requirements were going to be, like I mentioned, capturing in-editor context, and something that was easy to use, i.e. highlight some code and click a button. We wanted to be able to create a new Jira issue in a specific project, also, obviously, and also copy that context over to that issue. We wanted the process to be easy and not take too long, because we didn't want people to have to get out of their workflow or switch tools very often. And then we also wanted to have some nice to have, such as adding tags to the issues that are created for filtering and searching later. So now I'm going to share my screen, and we are going to get started building this tool. So before you begin, oh, and please someone let me know if you can't see the screen. Before we begin, you're going to have Node and Git installed, but shouldn't be an issue. We're going to start by scaffolding the project. We're going to use two very special extra packages, Yeoman, I don't know how to pronounce it, but let's call it Yeoman, and VS Code Extension Generator. These are two packages that help you set up your application, basically. And so we're going to npm install, going to do it globally because we might want to build a new one later, which is the Yeoman, and generator code, which is the VS Code Extension Generator. Now, I've already installed these, obviously, so we're not going to do that. But you will then just have to do yo code, and that's going to create a brand new instance of an extension for you. We will be working in TypeScript, and we can name it whatever we want. Let's say MenderCon demo. Let's say that. We're not going to actually use that name because we have another one set up already. We don't need this description right now. Sure, we'll have a Git repository. We can unbundle it, and I prefer npm. So this is basically all you need to do. Then you would obviously move into the file. We've got this already set up, so we're going to just dive right in and take a look at what comes right off the bat. Essentially, we've got, it comes pre-populated with a lovely little hello world message, essentially. Let's just break down exactly what we're looking at here. So we've got the extension file. Now, this is basically the heart and soul of your VS Code extension. We've got two sections of this. We've got the activate function, which, as you can imagine, just activates the extension, and then the command function, which registers the command and executes the code that powers your function, or it powers your extension. Essentially, the two differences here are that the activate part of the command only runs once. It runs when you initially activate something, or when you initially activate your extension. And then the VS Code commands is any code that you can run while the extension is running. So the bulk, actually all of our code today is going to go into the register commands section of this, and we're not going to worry too much about the activate outside of that. So let's give it a test. In order to test this, you do a start debugging from the run dropdown. You can just use F5, your keyboard shortcut. I'm going to always use the menu so that you can see when I'm doing it. And it's going to open this little fake next app that I've created. We're going to look and see if we can find the command, which we know is hello world. So we're going to look and show run commands here in the command bar. Oh, there it is. Must have already been using it today. Hello world, hello MenderCon. We've got the VS Code window popping up right there. So we're going to close this and deactivate that. And great, so we know it works. Okay, so let's start doing what we want to do. We want to create an instance. Well, before we get ahead of ourselves, first thing we're going to be doing is getting the context of the code window that you're in that you want to be sending to Jira. So let's do that. We're going to first create an instance of an editor window object using the active text editor. This is something that is a method that we can use to manipulate things within the editor window of VS Code. So we're going to do const editor, and we're going to use VS Code .window.active text editor, and that's it. Then obviously we want to make sure that we've got some erroring in case there's no file open. We want to make sure that there's a file open. And then, okay, so what are we going to do with that? Well, we need to give it something. So we are going to create a selection variable in order to store what we are doing. And we're going to use the selection method from that new editor object that we created. Great. So that, again, we are going to want to make sure that we're not doing anything with nothing. So if the user hasn't selected anything, hasn't highlighted it, we're not going to allow anyone to do anything. We're going to throw an error message. And then finally, we are going to create the final selected text variable that is going to actually parse our selected text, because right now it's a weird format that is not usable, except by probably VS Code. So we can do that, and then let's just console log our selected text to make sure that we are getting what we want here. Oh, how about I spell console correctly? All right, we are going to do this again. We are going to highlight this lovely theme style right there. And we are going to run our command. And we're going to look, and there we go. We've got the selected text right there. Perfect, it works. But this is not nearly at all enough. We want to be getting more. So in order to do that, we again need to revisit what we want to collect. We want to collect the file path name so that we know where in the repo we are working. We want to probably collect the line numbers so that we know where in that file the code is. And then, of course, we want to be able to send the selected text. So let's start with the files. In order to do that, we're going to have to import path, the node module path, so that we can work more easily with paths. So we'll do that, not parth. And we'll go down here, and under our selected text, we are going to start getting the path. So we actually, let's do the line first. Lines are easier. We're going to start with the start line, which is pretty easy. It's a method off of the selection, just start.line. Oops. So not too hard there. And then we will do the end line. And you probably guessed it, it's start.end.line. And then we can have a nice little string that is the line span variable. And let's say this selection begins on line start line. You probably don't want to be as verbose as me, but I was an English major, so it ends on line end line. Great. So now we've got line span done. Now let's dive into the path. So we want to create a variable called file path, and we're going to grab that from the document and the file name of that document. That is not correct. There we go. There we go. And then we are going to grab the folder that we're in. So this is the workspace method that gets the actual folder in your workspace that you are in. You have to pass it the URI for the document that you're in, and it gives you that folder name and path. We are going to make sure that there is a folder there, as we've done in the past. And if not, we're just going to return the file path. OK. Now, this is almost what we need, but it's not entirely what we need. It's basically two different parts. We've got the folder and we've got the file, but we want to sort of combine them, and we want to do that using path. So we're going to extract the folder path by doing folder.uri fs path, and then we want to create a relative path, which is basically the path from the folder to the file that you're in, and we're going to use path for that. So path.relative, pass it the folder path that we're in, and then the file path, and that's going to automatically create that relative path for us. And then finally, we want the file path name, which is going to be our entire file path for where we're at. And this is just going to be an easy join from the base name of the folder path, which is essentially the repo that we're in, and the relative path. Relative path. All right. Now, let us log these and see if we're where we want to be. Nope. Console log file path name, and we will do that. OK. We're going to deactivate that so we can rebuild this and start the bug process again. Now, we are going to do this. You're going to get real sick of me doing this because it's over and over. But here we go. File path name. Nebulo is the name of the repo that we're in. You'll see that corresponds to one of the projects in Jira that I've created, and right down to the folder or the file that we're in. So great. That all works. We got the file path. We've got line span. Let's actually just check and make sure we've got the line span. This is not the right console title, but you all know what I mean. Let's highlight some code, take a look, and yep, line 8 ends on line 13. Great. We've got all the basic information that we're looking for. And yeah, so now we can start with Jira integration. We're going to do this by wiring up a service that I've created in a different file within the source folder. I've already written some things, such as our imports. We're going to be using Axios for making our requests and handling responses. We've also using .env for importing the different sensitive tokens and things that I don't want you all to see. So we've got Jira token, domain, and email. Going to be using most of that for our authentication, and then also for creating the path that we are going to be using to fetch to the make a fetch to the API. We're going to get back to the get public Jira projects functions, but we're going to actually start with the create Jira issue. Now, create Jira, the Jira issue creation requires has some basic requirements. They require a project key so that it knows where you're going, what project to create it in. Requires a summary, which is essentially the title of the ticket, a description, and then an issue type. Your Jira instances may have different configurations in terms of what is required. For instance, at Planet Argon, we also require fixed versions. So I created a default via MenderCon fixed version to satisfy that requirement, to keep it consistent. But yeah, let's write that Jira request. So first we need to declare the parameters that the function is going to accept. We know that it's going to accept the file path. We also know that it's going to accept the selected text and the line span. But we also want to be able to give it the title, which is going to be the issue title, the description, which is going to be the entirety of the description, and the selected project, which is going to be where we want to put things. And that is what it's going to be accepting. All right, so let's get started there. Oh, actually, wait. In order to create a description for this function, we need to first create a special structured object that is required by Jira, and it's called the Atlassian Document Format, or ADF. Now, this is just a simple JSON object that is validated upon issue creation, and it's used to store rich text in the issues. So this is where we're going to place all of the data that we're collecting from the user and from VS Code and place it in the description field when we create the new Jira issue. I am not going to make you watch me type this all out, but we are going to look through this as I paste it in. And we are going to be putting this inside the Jira issue thing pretty soon after we declare that function. So let's format this a little bit so I don't get annoyed. Okay, so what do we got? We have, it's a type of doc, it's a doc type, and we've got paragraph. This is the function, or this is the structure of this type. Essentially, it's just a bunch of objects with a bunch of different fields within them. Description is like the title, and then you have marks type, which is like how you might style that or format it, and then the text type with the text is just what you want it to come in. This is, we are going to take this out and we're going to call this the description, because that is where the description is going to go. And then what else do we have in here? We have the file path name, we have got the line span, and we've got the code block type, which is going to automatically format our selected text to make it look like code again. Great. So that's all we need there. But of course, as you notice, we are using TypeScript, so we need to create the correct type. And I'm just going to put that right there at the top of our file. Let me grab that. And we don't need to go into too much detail here. It's pretty straightforward. Issue description, type, string, version is also a number, and the content is just that array of different objects that we saw. But wait, issue description content, we don't have that type either. So let's create an interface for that. and pretty simple. Content is just the content that is being passed in. Marks, we talked about that, and the text is what that actual text is. Okay, so now we have that formatted issue description that is ready to go into our call. So let's get back to that. So we're going to use some just basic fetching Axios calls. We're going to create that URL for the call using our Jira domain. And then, let's see, we're going to create, the call is actually going to be using a couple, is going to be using the issue data, is an issue data object. And that's what we're going to be passing in along with the URL. So it knows what to populate the issue with. So we're going to have to create that object. And we'll go through that here. So it's just a bunch of fields like previous. We've got the project, which has the selected project key. The fixed version, which again, I mentioned pre-populated in Jira as via MenderCon. The summary, we are going to actually just keep this as test issue. The description is the formatted description object that we just created. The issue type, we are going to always have it be a task. You can change that if you want when you're making your own, but I like it to be a task. And then we're going to add tech debt and MenderCon demo just for fun as labels. Okay, but again, we need to create that issue data interface so it knows what type we're working with. So let's go up there and do that. Great. Now, selected project key. I think that's because that's not the name that I used when I was, yes, selected project. And then title has not been used yet because I think that's what the summary is. So let's go ahead and pass this to the summary. Summary is the title of the issue in Jira. They have weird naming conventions. Don't get me started on that. But that's still, oh, parsing error. Duh. Not a type issue. Okay. So great. Now we can just write the API requests. We are going to use Axios post to ping our Jira endpoint. And this is going to get all sorts of, oops. What is going on here? Sorry, y'all. Let me pull it from a different spot. I'm trying to avoid you the pain of watching me post or watching me type out all of these requests. But perhaps my copy and pasting is also going to be an issue, but not too bad, I hope. Okay, that's just, I think, some, maybe might just need another curly brace. No. Maybe one too many. Let's see. There's a catch error. Yeah. And it's good because let's delete that. It's response. Oh, okay. I think I wrote it out 2 places. There we go. Sloppy, but it works. Okay, so we've got the URL that we just declared up there, the issue data that we have coming in here. That's going to be accepting some of our variables from our extension file. We got the basic auth as our authorization. And then we've got some basic errors. Our Axios error if is going to be handling any networking or like authentication or API responses. And then any other error is going to be handled by our else. Such as like compiling errors or like JavaScript errors or something. All right, so let's go over to our extension file and we can import this file, which, what do we call it? Create Jira issue. And yeah, from there. And we're going to use that here. we are again going to use a try and catch, and we're going to put it right below the file path name. Now, this has some things hard-coded into it, you'll notice. We're going to change this in a second, but we're going to start with the project code neb, which is going to be our lovely little Nebulo project there. New tech debt is going to be the title or the summary. This is new tech debt is our basic description. And then we've already got line span, file path name, and selected text, which is the selected code. Great. So we want to make sure that we have async. Great. And we are awaiting that. Great. Let's give it a try. It should create an issue in the Nebulo Jira project, and then create the information message window that pops up saying you did it. Let's give it a try. We're going to start debugging here. Let's try these body styles. Body, yaddy, yaddy. Hello, world. Oh, we have an error. What is our message? Valid project is required. Okay, let's see. Do I have, oh, yep, I've got it in the wrong order is why. Okay, so we start with the title. Then we go to the description, then the line span or the file path name. Okay, and then the selected project key, which is neb. Then the selected text. Gosh, you guys. And then the line span. Okay. Let's give that another try. Back to the body, give a run, and issue created successfully. We did it. Well, we'll see. Let's take a look at the Nebulo project in Jira. Go to the backlog and new tech debt. We created it. Perfect. We got super simple. Notice how it's already formatted, which looks great. And we got the file location. We got the line span. Again, you can have that be not quite server verbose. And we have the tag code in a code block. Love it. All right, so let's go back to our projects here and add something special. We're going to add some project selection. So this is all well and good for if you have one Jira project and you can hard code it in like this. But most places don't. And in our example, we don't. We've got a bunch. So we want to create a way for a user to select the Jira project that they want to create the issue in, as well as then create a title and a description for themselves without it being hard-coded in the request. Now, we are going to use the Jira project search API endpoint to get a list of all the projects. And so at Planet Argon, we use Jira project categories to group and manage internal projects and external client projects differently. So for this demo, I did the same thing so that we can see how that would work. I've got two project types, as you can see, public and private. What we're going to do is we're going to grab all of the projects from the project endpoint, then we're going to filter them by the project category. Again, we need to create some new type interfaces for these. We are going to create the Jira project, which is pretty simple, little type that has the key, the name, and the project category. And then we're going to create a response, a Jira response type that just has our data and all the values that it includes. Great. So we'll notice that the project category has the ID. That's the thing that we most care about. When we write this, this fetch, we are going to be filtering it by the ID. Now, I already know what the category ID is that we want to be looking for because I've already fetched these objects and found that out. You can do that yourself. Just write a generic fetch and look at all the projects and then find the category type. It's not so easy to find within the Jira interface. It kind of only returns in the return object. So you'll have to do it that way. But luckily for you, I wasted all this time telling you that, but I was trying to save you some time by not having us do that ourselves. But okay, let's look into the get public projects, and we are going to paste that in. We've got the try, and oh, we need our URL. It's the same. In fact, I should probably just pull that up, but we will do that there in case. Oh, this is actually a different URL, which is going to be the, what is the endpoint for that? Projects, I think. Hold on one second. Yeah, it is project search, right? So REST API project search, great. Different URL. Okay, same everything else. And then we have got the public projects, which is the projects that we're looking for. We are looking for a response, a Jira response, and then we're taking the values from all the data response object and filtering out for whether it has a project category. So we don't want anything that doesn't have a project category. And that category has to be actually 10001. 0001. That's the category for the public projects that we're using. So great. Now we can add some errors, some error catching there, and we will be good to go. But we first want to do this. There we go. Okay, now let's take a look. We returned the projects, actually, not yet. So let's log these first and see if what we are getting is actually what we want. We're going to return the public projects as well. Oops. Not forget that. Great. It's going to bother me to no end, but oh well. Okay, so now we want to hop back over to our extension. We want to import get public projects, public Jira projects specifically. And then within this, right before our editor, this is the first thing we want to do. We want to create our, let's say, Jira public projects. Actually, let's just name them public projects. Easier. And then we're going to call get public Jira projects. And it doesn't take any arguments. Now we can cancel log public projects. Actually, we don't need to do that because we've already done it in the function. All right, let's give it another try. We're going to start debugging here. Grab some code, run a command, hello world, and public projects. Bam, we've got them all. We've got everything that we need. And in fact, we've got actually too much stuff. This is not the clean project and name and key that we're looking for. It's a little bit of overkill. So we want to create, we want to simplify that. We want to have a way for the user to just view the project name and then be able to have the extension extract that key to use in the createIssue fetch. So before we start that, we are actually going to actually no, we'll do that now. So we are going to work back in the Jira service. And we are going to, before we even return the public projects, because that's not actually what we want, we are going to get project key names. Let's name it correctly. And this takes our public projects and does a simple map over our projects, and then returns. What are we returning? We're going to return the label, which actually is the project key. And then we're going to return the name of the project, which is the project name. Great. Now, let's do this. Keys, and call it project key names, if I could type correctly, and make sure that we have got project key names being returned. All right, now this should only give us what we want and nothing else. But will it work? Let's find out. All right, we got that public keys. And yep, it's not labeled correctly, but we've got just the key and just the name. Awesome. Now we can go on to create the web view form. And this is how your user is going to be interacting with your extension. There is a way to have the user input everything they want just in the command bar. I did that before. It's ugly. You don't really want to do it. It's ugly to look at. So we are going to move over here to the extension, and we are going to create an instance of a web view form. But first, I'm going to have a little sip of water. All right. Did I turn my mic on? Yeah. Okay. So the web view form is a really cool tool that's built within the VS Code toolkit, and it allows you to create a view within VS Code that basically functions as the web. It can handle HTML, it can handle scripts, it can style with CSS. It's really cool. So we are going to create that first form, and we're going to do that here kind of near the end. I'm going to do it after our path names, and we are going to create a panel. That's what we're going to call it. And we use the window, because that's where the method is, and create the web view panel. Now, this takes a couple of arguments. One of them is just a name. So let's call it the MenderCon demo form. The other one is a title. So this is what's going to show up to your user when they are clicking on the extension and activating it. Let's call it for tagging tech debt. This is way too verbose. We also want to give it some parameters around size. Let's just make it one column. And we want to have some rules there regarding what it can do. So enable scripts. We want to set that to true, so that way we can run a script that activates when the user hits your submit button. And then we want to retain context when hidden. We want that to be false, because we don't want all of the information that's just stacking up within the form every time that it gets closed. We want it to clear out. Okay, so what's next? Well, we need another initial data object. So we are going to create this here, and this is what we're going to pass to our submit request eventually, so that we can get all of the information that is being inputted by the user in the web view form to our request to the Jira API. Now, we know that we want the selected text, we want the file path name, we want the line span, and we also want the projects, because the projects are how the form is going to know what to display in the dropdown, and also how to use the data that the user is selecting. So it's either going to be a Jira project or just a blank. And let's take a look at it. Cannot find name Jira projects. Oh, right. So this is because, oh, right. We need to, where is that? Hold on 1 second. Jira projects, I don't think I included it in. Oh, it's because I named it something different, duh. We are going to call these Jira projects, because that's what it needs. Great, that solves that, duh. And Now we can pass that to the web view form so that the web view form knows what to do. We're going to delete this createJiraIssue because we are going to be doing something different with that function in a second. But we want to take the web view HTML method, and we want to use getWebViewContent and pass it our initial data. Now this is going to take the context that the user has already given, the line span, the highlighted code, and then all of the and the projects, and generate the form. However, as you probably noticed, we haven't created the WebViewContent function, getWebViewContent function yet. So let's do that now. Again, I'm not going to make you watch me type this entirely too long HTML file, essentially, but we're going to put this above our activate. You could put this in its own service if you wanted to, but I didn't, so that's that. And let's take a look at what's going on here. So this is a getWebViewContent function. It takes a data pack that includes the selected text, the file path name, the line span, and the Jira projects array, as we just mentioned. It takes all that initial data, stringifies it so that we can use it within this form. Where are we using it? Let's take a look. Actually, let's just take a look at some of this stuff. You can see it's a pretty standard HTML file. We've got some styling. We've got some elements here with some titles and some H1s. We've got the submit button on this form. And the initial data is going into our event listener, which is going to be used for populating the form. We are going to map over the projects or for each of them, and we're going to allow the dropdown to have different projects with the different keys. We also are going to add the event listener to submit, and this is where we are going to grab the selected project key and also grab the value from the title field, which is where the user is going to enter their title as well as the description. And then we are going to have a post submit command that we're going to write in a second that's going to send everything to the API. So let's just take a look and see if this does anything. Why is this not? Strings incompatible. Well, let's take a look at that. I have a wrong label string name. Let's debug this real quick. It's going to get mad. Selected text is not assignable to parameter types. String, pop-up name, string, promise. Oh, because it's a promise? Yes. Right. It's missing the following types: label string, name string. Did I define that incorrectly? Maybe here, label name. Projects. So I put it in the wrong one up here. Name string. Well, maybe it's in here. Label project. Where was that? Project ID. Label. Gosh, you guys, let's give it a try and see. I don't know if it's gonna fail on that type error, but maybe. Debug anyway. Nope, we got it. Okay. So let's see. Oh yeah, so we can't access, so it is failing on that. So let's take a look at what is wrong with our Jira projects. We have Jira projects, the initial data, Jira projects here, Jira projects. Oh, it's because it's a promise. We have not awaited. There we go. Duh. So let's give that another try. Run commands. All right, there we go. We've got all of our 5 projects there. The submit button doesn't do anything yet, so let's pause there and wire that up. In order to use this and in order to do something with all that data that's being collected from the form, we need to use one more method on the web view panel, the panel web view, and we are going to it's called on did receive message. So the submit form sending a message to this web view, and when we get it, we are going to use that information to actually, since we're almost short on time, we are going to be just pasting this in and giving everyone a little break from my typing. Okay, so what are we doing here? We are taking the message and we are running it through a switch, looking for the submit. And then when there is a submit, which should be the only one that it gets, but just in case, we are going to have this destructure it and grab the selected project key, the title, and the description from the message data. And then we're going to populate this Jira issue with that information and send it off on its way, and then show that the information, the issue's been created correctly. Let's take a look and see if we, just to confirm, we have the right order of our arguments, because that can definitely cause a problem. And we don't, again. So right, selected Jira project is the fourth thing. So we want to do that. Ooh. And what comes next? Selected text. Line span goes last, so we'll do that. And then, sorry, y'all. That needs a comma. So title, description, file path name. Just do this. And then selected text and line span. Great. Okay, so that should be the correct order. And let's give it a go. Bum, bum, bum. All right, let's put it in our Zap thing. Testing, did it work? Submitting it. Issue created successfully. Great. Let's jump over to Jira and take a look in Zap Forge project and in the backlog. But it works. Perfect. But take a look. Did it work? It did. Excellent. So we've got that all good to go. All right. Well, we've got one quick final thing to add, and that is a status bar icon. So nobody wants to go up here into the command bar and have to search for hello world or whatever every single time. So we are going to create a status bar icon as soon as it gets created. And we are going to do this for right here in our extension file. This is going to go actually in, I know I lied when I said we weren't going to put anything in the plain activate area, but we are. So what this does is it creates a status bar icon. We're aligning it left, we're padding it by 100 pixels. We're going to use a MenderCon demo with a little smiley face. We're going to have a little pop-up when you hover over it saying highlight some code. And the command is the same command as this, which we should probably change so that it works correctly. And then we're going to show the status bar, and we're going to push the status bar item into the subscriptions. Now, in order to do this, we actually need to go to our package.json, and we need to open up our extension activation events, and we need to have our activation events be anything. This is actually bad practice, so don't do this for every VS Code extension. Essentially, this will cause performance issues if you have a lot of code in this activate section, because that's going to mean run this every single time and you open it. Because we're just using this to create a status bar, we want it to run every time because we want it to be visible all the time. So basically what's this is the package JSON activation events means on any event, i.e. when VS Code opens, show this status bar. You would imagine why you wouldn't want that to be the case if there was some other labor, more like intensive things going on here, such as like fetches or other kind of logic. But for just creating a status bar item, it shouldn't be a problem. So now let's go and look one more time to see if we've got it. And we do. MenderCon demo, and highlight some code and click to create a Jira issue. Okay, we're going to highlight that code. We're going to open up our form. Let's put it this time in, how about this project? Yay! And we're going to do thanks for the footage. We're going to submit that, buddy. Jira issue created successfully. Let's go back to our projects and see if in this other fake project drift stack, we've got a new issue created. We do. Lovely. All right. Well, that is how you make a extension. We are a little bit over time, so sorry about that. But I wanted to add that in because that was part of the requirements, is having a button to pick. Yeah, thanks everyone. I'll be around and gather, and you can come find me if you have any questions about how to do this or ways that I could have done it better. Cool. Thanks everyone.